sponsor Senate Bill number 1482 under Committee Report number 6. This bill seeks to address the country's classroom shortage by authorizing eligible LGUs and the civil society organizations to implement classroom construction projects using government funds complementing existing DepEd infrastructure programs. The shortage of classrooms have been a perennial problem in our education system, and I have long advocated for the acceleration of classroom constructions. In 2022, as the Senior Vice Chair of the Committee on Finance, handling the budget of education, I presented data during our DBCC briefing on classroom shortage. The classroom shortage was then 127, can I wait for the slide to be shown? The classroom shortage was then 127,039. The budget needed to build these classrooms was 317 billion. The budget allotted in the NEP was only 5.92 billion. So from 317 needed 5.92 billion. And with this budget, it would take us 60 years to fill the gap. My bold proposal then at the start of this administration was to consider closing the classroom gap by budgeting 52 billion per year. Sounds like a lot, right? But nowadays, we know that 52 billion can be produced pag kailangan pala. At mukhang mas madali kung may mali siya. Sorry, I had to say that as part of this speech because that's how people understand these numbers these days. So here we are, 3 years later, just a few weeks ago, I also presented in the DBCC briefing hearing. According to the DepEd, the classroom shortage is now 165,000. So from 3 years ago na 127,000, ngayon 165,000 na. Kasi marami pa rin tayong mga anak, mga kababayan. Budget needed to fill the shortage is 412.50 billion. So nadagdagan na ng around 100 billion. And the budget in the NEP for 2026 is 13.25 billion. So with this year's budget and with a cost of 2.5 million per classroom, only 5,300 classrooms will be built. I will repeat. What is needed is 165,000, and what will be built based on this year's budget is 5,300 classrooms. With a similar budget, it will take more than 31 years to fill the gap. This shortage means that millions of Filipino students continue to study in congested, makeshift, or unsafe learning conditions that hinder learning outcomes. To repeat, and I just would like to emphasize this, in 2023, the budget for classrooms in the GAA was 15.60 billion. This is the General Appropriations Act. In 2024, it was 24.70 billion, and in 2025, it was 13.25 billion. So barely a sliver of what was needed. As chairperson of the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation and Futures Thinking, I foresaw the opportunity the pandemic presented and the shift to online classes. While our students were at home, I proposed that we take advantage of that period and push for school building, repairs, and rehabilitation. However, our studies revealed that there was low utilization of funds by the DPWH, many other problems including lack of preparation of the land, lack of buildable space in the most congested areas where the classrooms were most needed. These issues continued through the years. It was a missed opportunity, Mr. President, because that would have been the perfect time to address our classroom backlog, an effort that could have significantly reduced the numbers we are grappling with today. As Senior Vice Chairperson of the Committee on Finance that handles the budget of DepEd, that has handled the budget of DepEd for 6 years, our committee was able to assess how we could allocate more resources toward classroom construction. We pushed for the augmentation of the budget for classroom construction, repairs, and rehabilitations. In the NEP, we had allocations for budget repairs that were not fully funded, and we felt that these were very low-hanging fruits because it would take less to repair these classrooms. As mentioned earlier, we had consistently pointed out that with a limited budget under the Basic Education Facility Fund, it would take years for this gap to be addressed. Recognizing that many existing school buildings are already in disrepair, we also advocated for more rehabilitation and retrofitting. In several budget deliberation, we emphasized the need for climate-resilient school infrastructure, facilities that are safe, inclusive, and conducive to learning for all students. Closing the gap in the classroom shortage helps us achieve the following Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 4, quality education, SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, SDG 9, industry, innovation, infrastructure, SDG 10, reduce inequalities, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. By accelerating the classroom construction, we are not only investing in building, we are investing in human capital and in the learning environment that nurtures the next generation. This program must not only fill present gaps, but it must also anticipate the future of learning. That means classrooms designed for blended learning, for energy efficiency, and for climate adaptation, especially in flood or typhoon-prone areas. We'd like to thank our chairperson, Senator Bam Aquino, for prioritizing this bill. Let us make the Classroom Building Acceleration Program not just a response to a backlog, but a vision for the future of Philippine education. Thank you, Mr. President.